What if I told you that one man's vision on the eve of battle changed the course of Western civilization forever? Imagine standing on the banks of the Tiber River in the year 312, watching two armies prepare for a clash that would determine not just the fate of Rome, but the spiritual destiny of billions of people for centuries to come. This is the story of Constantine, a soldier who became emperor, a pagan who embraced Christianity, and a ruler whose decisions still echo through our world today. Born in the year 272 in Naissus, a frontier town in the Roman province of Moesia Superior, Constantine entered a world of chaos. The Roman Empire was fracturing under the weight of civil wars, economic collapse, and relentless barbarian invasions. His father, Constantius Chlorus, was a military commander climbing the treacherous ladder of imperial power during the crisis of the 3rd century. His mother, Helena, came from humble origins, perhaps even working as an innkeeper. Young Constantine grew up witnessing the brutal reality of Roman politics, where emperors rose and fell like waves crashing against stone. But Constantine was no ordinary child. Sent to the court of Emperor Diocletian as a virtual hostage to ensure his father's loyalty, he received the finest education Rome could offer. He studied Greek philosophy, military strategy, and the art of governance under the watchful eyes of the most powerful men in the empire. Yet even as he mastered the skills of Roman leadership, he witnessed something that would haunt him. The Great Persecution. Christians, followers of a growing religion that refused to worship the traditional Roman gods, were hunted, tortured, and executed in arenas across the empire. Did young Constantine feel sympathy for these martyrs, or did he simply observe with the cold calculation of a future ruler? When his father died in the year 306 in distant Britannia, Constantine faced his moment of destiny. The Roman Empire operated under the Tetrarchy, a system where 4 rulers shared power to prevent civil war. But theory and practice rarely align in the pursuit of absolute authority. Constantine's soldiers proclaimed him Augustus, emperor of the western provinces, igniting a powder keg of competing claims and military ambitions. His rivals included Maxentius, who controlled Rome itself, and Licinius, who commanded the eastern legions. The stage was set for a brutal power struggle that would baptize the empire in blood. For 6 years, Constantine consolidated his power through a combination of military brilliance and political cunning. He secured Gaul, defeated Germanic tribes along the Rhine, and built an army loyal to him alone. But the greatest prize remained tantalizingly out of reach: Rome itself. Maxentius held the Eternal City, and without it, Constantine's claim to supreme power would always ring hollow. In the autumn of 312, Constantine made his move, marching his battle-hardened legions south across the Alps toward the heart of the empire. What happened next would become one of history's most debated moments. On the night before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, Constantine reportedly experienced a vision that would alter history. According to Christian sources written decades later, he saw a cross of light in the sky with the words in Greek, "In this sign conquer." That night, Christ himself allegedly appeared in his dreams, instructing him to mark his soldiers' shields with the Kairos symbol, a monogram representing the first 2 letters of Christ's name in Greek. Was this a genuine divine revelation, a calculated political strategy, or perhaps a convenient legend crafted after the fact? Whatever the truth, Constantine ordered his men to paint Christian symbols on their shields before dawn broke over Rome. At the Milvian Bridge spanning the Tiber River just north of Rome, Constantine's forces clashed with Maxentius's larger army. The battle was fierce and chaotic, with thousands of men locked in mortal combat. But Constantine's tactical genius shone through. He forced Maxentius into a devastating tactical error, pressing the enemy back toward the river where a pontoon bridge collapsed under the weight of retreating soldiers. Maxentius himself drowned in the Tiber, weighted down by his armor, his body recovered days later from the muddy waters. Constantine entered Rome victorious and immediately began transforming the empire in ways no one could have predicted. Rather than persecuting Christians like his predecessors, Constantine issued the Edict of Milan in 313, granting religious tolerance throughout the empire. Christianity, once a persecuted underground movement, suddenly found itself favored by imperial power. Constantine returned confiscated church property, exempted clergy from certain taxes, and began funding the construction of magnificent basilicas. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem and the original St. Peter's Basilica in Rome rose under his patronage. But was Constantine a true believer, or did he recognize Christianity as a unifying force for his fragmenting empire? His actions suggest a complex mixture of faith, politics, and pragmatism. Constantine's ambitions extended beyond religious policy. In 324, he defeated his last rival, Licinius, and became sole ruler of the Roman Empire for the first time in decades. But Rome itself no longer satisfied his vision. The ancient capital was tied to pagan traditions, dominated by a senatorial aristocracy resistant to change. Constantine needed a new beginning, a city that would embody his Christian empire. He chose Byzantium, an ancient Greek city on the Bosphorus Strait, strategically positioned between Europe and Asia. He would rebuild it as Constantinople, the new Rome, a Christian capital that would outlast the Western Empire by 1,000 years. The emperor also confronted theological controversy threatening to tear his newly Christianized empire apart. The Arian controversy, a complex debate about the nature of Christ's divinity, divided Christian communities into hostile factions. In 325, Constantine summoned bishops from across the empire to the Council of Nicaea, the first ecumenical council. Though not baptized himself at this point, he presided over theological debates, seeking unity even if he didn't fully understand the subtle doctrinal distinctions. The resulting Nicene Creed became the foundation of Orthodox Christian belief, a statement of faith still recited in churches today. Constantine had become more than an emperor. He was now shaping the very definition of Christianity itself. Yet Constantine remained a Roman emperor in every sense, and Roman emperors ruled through force as much as faith. He executed his own son, Crispus, and his second wife, Fausta, in mysterious circumstances that historians still debate. Was it a family tragedy born of court intrigue and false accusations, or the cold calculations of a ruler eliminating potential threats? Constantine's reign demonstrated that Christian emperors could be as ruthlessly pragmatic as their pagan predecessors. The cross and the sword were not incompatible in his hands. Constantine implemented sweeping legal and social reforms that reflected Christian values while maintaining Roman practicality. He abolished crucifixion as a method of execution, strengthened laws protecting children and slaves, and promoted Sunday as a day of rest. He minted coins bearing Christian symbols alongside traditional Roman imagery, gradually shifting the empire's visual language. His military reforms reorganized the legions into mobile field armies better suited to defending against barbarian incursions. He was building not just a Christian empire, but a transformed Roman state capable of surviving in a changing world. In his final years, Constantine planned a great campaign against Persia, Rome's ancient enemy to the east, but his health was failing. In the spring of 337, while traveling to lead his legions, he fell gravely ill. Only on his deathbed did he finally receive baptism, a common practice among early Christians who feared post-baptismal sin. He died on the 22nd of May, 337 in Nicomedia, having ruled for 31 years. His body was carried to Constantinople and buried in the Church of the Holy Apostles, surrounded by monuments to the 12 apostles, positioning himself as the 13th, equal to Christ's chosen followers. Even in death, Constantine's ambition was breathtaking. So was Constantine truly great? His legacy is impossibly complex. He ended Christian persecution and made Christianity the dominant religion of the Western world, fundamentally altering the course of civilization. He created Constantinople, which would preserve Roman culture and Christian orthodoxy through the medieval period, while Western Europe descended into fragmentation. He reformed Roman government and military, extending the empire's life by decades, perhaps centuries. Yet he was also a politician who wielded religion as a tool of power, a general who built his throne on battlefields soaked in blood, and a father who destroyed his own family. Perhaps greatness itself is never pure, but always a mixture of vision and violence, faith and ambition. Constantine's transformation of Rome into a Christian empire created the foundation for European civilization as we know it. The Byzantine Empire he founded would endure until 1453, preserving classical knowledge through the Dark Ages. The Christian church he empowered would shape European politics, art, philosophy, and science for the next 1700 years. The very concept of a Christian emperor, ruling by divine right, influenced medieval kingship and political theory for a millennium. When we walk into any cathedral, observe any medieval manuscript, or consider the relationship between church and state, we are walking in Constantine's shadow. His decision to embrace Christianity before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge reverberates through history to this very day. Enjoyed the video? Give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more. See you in the next one.